Hello again, traders, and welcome out to another market recap. This is Ankit here, and let's begin a market coverage. It's a Monday, June the 5th. Let's get into markets and take a look at what happened, talk about our game plan going into this week, and talk about our upcoming 24 hours. So let's start with the equity market's performance today. And it was a quiet day today, both in the equity world and in the currency world. The biggest move was really in the crypto world, and that was really based off the news event about Binance. So that's really where the big movement was. But if you take a look at the equity markets today, we did sort of went higher, but we did pull back off the weaker ISM services number. And that really caused a bit of a pullback here, but it was nothing extraordinary here. Again, this is where inside candle after a big move like this in the last couple of days. This is a small little pullback here. So nothing really to extrapolate from this. We're still in a bull market. Now, the bond yields has been really the big focus as we talk about, the last couple of weeks. Bond markets have been rising, had a nice big pullback, and it was rising once again. And after the services PMI number, the yields sort of pulled back a little bit. And same thing what we saw in the US dollar is it took a bit of a sort of paired some of the gains as well. So a lot of back and forth in the bond world and in the future expectation for further rate hikes and the US dollar. Lastly, the crypto world, and you can see a big drop today, and this really came on big volume as well. So overall, we talk about it. The crypto world has really been in this sideways range, and until we can really get breaking above this range, we can't really get excited. So far, it seems like a little bit further pain ahead as the markets start to digest some of this Binance news. Now, outside of that, crypto world, as you can see, the biggest performer. The biggest underperformer today was really the Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin overall, as you can see, everything was down big. Litecoin, which has been outperforming lately, was also down the most today, 7.13%. Again, not really liking this crypto in the next 24 to 48 hours as, like I said, market try to digest some of that news. Now, in the currency world, you can see that today was not an exciting day. We are seeing less than 0.5% move. Again, whenever I see that, it's the day that I like to be on the sideline. Now, looking at the outperformer versus the underperformer today, we saw a bit of an opposite. All the outperformers from last week really sort of pulled back. The dollar did pull back. We have the British pound has been outperforming, did pull back. Canadian dollar did pull back, and some of the underperformers, like the Kiwi, actually had a little jump today. Aussie was slightly up as well, and the Japanese yen. So again, tale of two picture here. We are seeing an opposite of what we saw last week. So again, these are really short-term moves. I think we just have to keep in mind what the overall trend score is. And in these kind of days where velocity was not even as strong, it's better to kind of stay on the sideline and focus on where the big movement is happening. Now, looking at the market outlook, we're still sitting at a +3. Again, market's still looking very strong, but we have to be sort of accommodating to these markets. If the markets sort of change their momentum, we want to change with it. But so far, like I said, it's the day like today. We don't want to be making any sort of changes to our outlook. Everything seems to be looking bullish here. Even after that weaker ISM services PI number at 50.3, overall, that did not cause a big movement to the downside. But next 24 hours, something to pay attention to which way we really see. In stronger markets, we see these down days really get absorbed really quickly. And in the weaker markets, this is where we start to continue the extension. So next 24 hours, again, pay attention to the equity markets and the bond market. The next 24 hours, our big focus is really the RBA rate statement tonight. They're again expected to hold rates at about 3.85%. And remember, right now, there's bigger risk for currencies to the downside than it is to the upside. I mean, you saw what happened just a week and a half ago with the RBNZ. A big move to the downside came after that RBNZ rate statement. So remember, this is the one that carries the biggest punch, and we need to be watching this and trading them and really take advantage of these news events as we see it this week, especially on Wednesday as well. We had the Bank of Canada statement on the docket. So those are the ones that we really pay attention to. So let's do a quick currency analysis and take a look at what the velocity score is telling us. And when I take a look at these scores, it's not really giving me a bigger, sort of a picture here because the outperformers are underperforming, the underperformers are outperforming. So a day like today, we don't want to be carrying into next 24 hours. and sort of take a look at which way the market goes. Do we continue to see the extension from today, or do we continue to sort of resume that trend that we have been in for the past few weeks? Especially the British pound, pretty strong currency overall, started off on a negative note. The dollar still looks tricky, and the Canadian dollar, which heading into the Bank of Canada on a Wednesday, has been looking very bullish. So those are the ones that we need to pay attention to. But again, a +1 to a -1, not so a great trading day. So let's take a look at possible trades ahead, and primarily talk about what opportunities we can find in the next 24 to 48 hours. And let's just start with the Australian dollar, because this is the currency that has been widely underperforming until we saw that big move in the Kiwi. You can see that Kiwi had a massive move to the downside, and we saw a nice little lift in the Aussie compared to the Kiwi here, right here. You can see the Aussie since then has been doing better than worse, because the Kiwi being the worst performer out there. Where we can go in the next 24 hours. Aussie Kiwi is the first one that I'm really paying close attention to. So you can see that we were sitting at these levels back in April. I went down all the way to the 106 area in mid-May, and here we are back up again. So are we extended? It does look extended, but at the same time, we can't deny the fact that overall the price action still holding up and looking pretty good. Even a 4-hour chart, you can see we continue to run, take a little pause, but overall the gravity is continued to be towards the upside. But that can change very quickly as we get the RBA out of the way. If the RBA is as dovish as well, you think we can see further continuation in that weakness. But if the Aussie stays strong and this Aussie Kiwi pairing can get above this area, right at this range, sitting about 109.01 right now. If we can get above this 109.20 to 30 area, I think we can easily go and test that 110.50 area as well. Again, that will take us back to the February and the March highs. But that's really where we are at, and I think this is the currency pair you really want to pay close attention to. And in addition to that, let's take a look at Aussie against the other pairings. I've been kind of watching the Aussie against the CAD for a possible short, but in the shorter term, it's not really panning out. I think overall, I'm seeing a higher low, and we have a nice resistance here. So in the shorter term, I think the Aussie still looks better. And again, remember the RBNZ, the Kiwi was the strongest currency going into it, but that changed pretty quickly. So I'll be looking at a second stage entry in the Aussie after the RBA rate statement. And we can take a look at a lot of these currencies like Aussie dollar, which, again, daily chart, you can see that we are back in the prior support is now the resistance area. So if I like Aussie to the downside, perhaps we can take a look at the US dollar. Let's actually go through other currency baskets and see what else we can find. Again, Canadian dollar looking pretty strong and it had a pullback. But remember, in the grand scheme of things, this is still running to the upside. So it's a short-term pause. We'll have to see which way it goes. 4-hour chart is telling me this is still looks like it will pull back to me. But if we can get below the 20 to 50, this is where the technicals start to deteriorate. But for now, I think I like to keep a hold on this Canadian dollar play. I don't want to be getting too short into this, but at the same time, I think we want to be cautious about our long entry as well. The British pound is another one that really sort of pulled back here. It was pretty weak. But the real question is that are these pullbacks our buying opportunity? And in a strong trending market, that's the case. So if you take a look at this 12-hour chart or in the daily chart, it does look like a bull pullback to me. And if you can get, the only time it actually breaks that trend is that once it breaks below the support area of that 20 to 50 moving average, it start to make a lower high and a lower low. That's when you know the turn happened. But for now, for the past 3 months, every pullback has been bought out. So be cautious about that. I think at this point, I would not want to be shorting the pound here. I think the next 24 hours there's a smaller risk for a rally to the upside. So what do we want to short? I mean, let's take a look at this at the yen. Now, the yen continues to be a bit of a volatile currency, but again, the bigger move is really to the downside. Right now, we can safely say that this is not melting lower as a yen currency basket. I mean, we are testing the support here. So we had a big drop from here to here. I think at this point, I'm very open to trading the yen as a bit of a range bar currency, a bottom range here, upper end range here. And once it breaks this range, that's when we want to be directional. But I think for now we found a bit of a support here. So I don't really love the yen short. I mean, look at this 4-hour chart. It's jumping right from that area that has done multiple times. You know, in the last week or so, we have bounced from this area twice. So at this point, I would like to use that and say, well, is this a further rally to this? I think I like to give a little bit of bounce here rather than a short. I think I'd rather sell the yen on rallies rather than, you know, a breakdown here without a confirmation. The US dollar, on the other hand, is still sort of looking like a stronger currency. As you can see, we had a nice little bounce here, but then after the ISM number, we did pull back. But after the ISM number, you can see we really haven't had any sort of further follow through to this. So maybe it's likely to go sideways. I think my outlook in the currency room was that we have a wide range of the dollar. This is the resistance. This is the support. I think we can continue trading within this range until we can really find out its direction. I think that's what I'm looking for, is these bigger ranges to kind of come in play. Now the euro still kind of looks weak to me, but I don't like a further short until we can break the support area here. Swiss franc, on the other hand, had a nice little bounce back here, but remember, everything is sort of working in this bigger ranges. We got an upper end of the ranges. This is the middle end of the range. So we are right in the middle here, bouncing right off this moving average here. So if there's a continuation to this, we have to see the 4 hours sort of continue rallying. But I mean, right now, we have been pretty negative in this Swiss franc. Got a nice little rally up here. If this sort of have a shallow sort of pullback, it can continue moving forward. If this continues to sell off, then I think we can get back and resume its downtrend here. But for now, I think it's a 50-50 here. So as we go through it, again, there's less chances or less excitement to jump onto things because the things that are rallying is taking a short-term pause. And the things that look the weakest, I think they still remain oversold. Like the Kiwi is a good example. It's still staying weak. There's not a whole lot of momentum coming in. And I think that's the takeaway from these markets, is that look at velocity. And once the velocity sort of leaves that currency, kind of moves to something else. And lately we have seen that in CAD has been moving up very nicely here. So for the shorter term, I'm seeing pullbacks, but I'm not ready to sort of buy the pullback or sell any of the movements here. My big focus for the next 24 hours is going to be RBA. Looking for some trades off of that. Aussie Kiwi will be primarily my first pick. But outside of that, I can also take a look at some of the other currencies based on relative trend weakness. But don't forget that we'll be meeting live for the RBA statement tonight. You can register for that class by going to the schedule, and you can find that link over there. So overall, market remains bullish. Most of the trends that we have seen stays intact. So I think this is where we sort of sit on our hands and wait for the next big move to happen. Meanwhile, stay focused on the velocity and keep on the sidelines when you don't see a movement. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys tonight for the RBA statement. Take care.